Welcome to the SARE Ladies podcast, the sister brand of Subtle Asian Real Estate, where our mission is to get more people that look like us participating in the real estate industry. We invite experts to not just talk about real estate, but also about our unique identity as Asian women and the cultural values that shape who we are as investors. I'm Anita Wong.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. We're both real estate agents and investors based in the Bay Area and New York City. Whether you're a seasoned real estate pro or just starting out, there's something for everyone here. So pour yourself a glass of wine or boba tea and join us as we celebrate the achievements and unleash the untapped potential of AAPI women in the real estate industry.
Welcome to the SARE Ladies podcast.
Now let's get on with the show. But first, a word from one of our fabulous sponsors. Learn how to invest in commercial real estate the right way. No fluff, just the truth. Retired software engineer turned real estate syndicator Tony Lin is a managing partner of Link Multifamily, where he helps folks invest passively while also teaching aspiring operators the ins and outs of the commercial multifamily space. Here's what one potential investor had to say about Tony's commercial real estate mentorship. Last year, I shadowed Tony on his latest acquisition, a 111-unit Class A property in Dallas, where he showed us exactly how he intended to execute his business plan. It was a great educational experience. Tony Lin and the Link Multifamily team love to share their recipe for success and empower you to do the same. To get in touch with Tony and his team, visit linkmultifamily.com. That's Link, L-I-N-K, multi, M-U-L-T-I, family, F-A-M-I-L-Y.com. Now on to the show.
Holy effing shit. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to contain myself because today, SARE Ladies, it is Women's Month and we are 1 freaking year old now. Woohoo!
Happy birthday us. Yeah, we did become 1 year old around Women's Month. That was our first post on SARE. And I honestly can't believe it's only been 1 year because it feels like it's been 20 years with everything that we've accomplished in 2022 together.
Yes.
And I have all the white hairs to prove it.
Yes. And we've never had a podcast episode with just us before, so I thought it might be a good chance for our audience members to kind of get to know us and to kind of shoot the shit between us and, just kind of learn about how everything came about, what we're really planning for next year, everything that we have accomplished. And so we're going to do something special today. We're going to be picking from a pile of questions and we're going to both answer them. So Tiff, are you ready?
I am. Hit me, Anita.
All right. So how did we meet and what was your first impression of me?
Okay. By the way, guys, this is like take 2 of the podcast because I went nuts. So hopefully this is a more concise version. So Anita and I met on on our internal brokerage workplace group. And it was a mindshare group where, agents exchange ideas with each other. And I basically threw out a feeler to the entirety of our brokerage, which is a national brokerage, asking if anybody knew about real estate syndications. Huh?
Yes.
What happened? Yeah.
Real estate hundreds of thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands of people. Nobody replied. Crickets, except for one lone psychopath, and it was Anita. and I'll add, I added a crazy gift to it of Willem Dafoe, so I can understand why people were just like, "What is wrong with this girl?" But the fact that Anita, like, I put a call out there for a soulmate, and Anita replied was our first. It was like our dating app swipe, and then we had a Google Meet shortly afterwards, and then that's when our real first impression happened. So Anita, what did you think of me during the Google Meet?
Well, I just remember that you wore this Yale sweater, and then you're like, "Did you go to Yale?" As just a talking point. Anyone with something that says giant fucking letters on their chest should just be asked that question. And she's like, "No, I didn't go to Yale." And I was like, "She's a little weird." I will say,
I am weird.
Anyway. And it's true. I've now validated she is a little weird.
Were you intimidated by the Yale sweatshirt, Anita?
He was just asking a question. Honestly, Tiffany looked into it. She's like, she probably thinks I'm dumb now. I'm like, no, I just think you just one of the people that wears sweaters. Like, I don't know.
It's a good sweatshirt. Yeah. It's a good sweatshirt. I will add that I thought Anita was a little scary during our meeting. I actually thought you were much older than me. But it turns out I'm just immature and we're actually the same age. because Anita was like, oh yeah, I'm getting married in a few weeks. I'm like, oh man, she's like, but then I was like, wait, I'm at the age where I should be getting married and I'm not. And I was like, maybe this is the normal age that people do these things. Not to give our age away, but
yes, I mean, well, okay, not to give the age away in our 30s, but you live in New York. That's basically like New York 15, So yeah, you're not at marrying age yet. Yeah, you still have lots of years left until your 60s. I think that's when people in New York begin to marry. So, or not.
don't say that to me.
Anyway, so okay, I'm gonna answer. How did the idea for SARE Ladies come about, and what was our motivation for starting the podcast? Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Well, okay. It had me asking, but all right, I will start. SARE Ladies came out from when we first started. I always wanted to start a podcast. I just didn't know what I wanted to do a podcast about, right? So I think that was my contribution to this was, I wanted to have a conversation with the wider audience, but in our first meeting, we actually found out that we both belong to subtle Asian real estate. That was our aha moment. If anything, our first impression led to that aha moment, and then that spiraled into like, oh, Anita's actually more involved in that group. Like you knew Annie and Nelson, like you've actually met them in person. I've just known them because I'm on the East Coast through online, but you've actually gone to the meetups and you've had conversations with them. So Anita, tell me how you managed to finagle our way into their favor.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say I had met Nelson once at that syndication conference that we had actually talked about, and then Annie actually lives really close to me. They're the founders of Subtle Asian Real Estate, and I have a passion for women empowerment, and I was saying Annie that I feel like there should have been some more women things and events or whatever happening within SARE, and the conversation sort of died off for a few months, and then after I met Tiffany, and we kind of had this same mutual like passion for API women. The podcast kind of came about, and everything subsequent, the field trips and all the events came about as well. And so yeah, that was really.
And we kind of organically found our way well, you were big on the field trips, I will say. Like you spearheaded, like whereas I was like pushing really hard for the podcast, Anita was the one who was pushing really hard for the field trips. And that's what everybody I think remembers from 2020. If they don't, but I think it's like, that's not really yeah, you know what? I'm gonna stop saying for this take. All right, next question. What has been the most memorable moment from our journey, Anita?
Our most memorable moment from our journey has, I think maybe for me, I think the field trip was probably most memorable because that was our first time that we actually, I mean, everything has been like on the podcast. We have been talking to basically industry experts like virtually, but the field trip was really the first time we met our entire group. Well, not an entire group, just a fraction of it really. And there was about 75 people that showed up into Dallas as a total. And we were all there, all API women, and we were just like traveling on these buses to go check out real estate. I think that was a big thing. I was just like, oh my God, we're doing this. And people are actually, I think the field trips came about was because we wanted a tactical way for women to learn to invest and learn about a space, learn about a city from industry experts. And the field trip was really that sort of way that we did all in a nice bow, and also had a really, oh yes, and one of my most favorite moments was doing the cheap how dinner in downtown Dallas. And it was just great because to me, like, I don't like our requirement that you had to wear your cultural outfit, and I've never worn like a cheap how outside of going to a wedding. I've maybe done that once, maybe. Anyway, we were like, where do I even find one? Everyone was like, where do I even find one? But then like when we showed up, it was just like such a beautiful moment of like everyone just flashing off like their, like the Korean hanboks. I was just like, this, everyone's so beautiful.
I had a Vietnamese guys. Shout out to Vietnam.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty. So my gosh, it was gorgeous. Yeah.
That was a really great moment for me to see.
I mad props, Anita, for the cultural evening event. Like Yeah, I would say that is the most memorable moment too, because it was great to see. I think for me, it was like the community that we had built around it, right? And all these girls that just knew of each other online, or maybe haven't known of each other at all, but just having the opportunity to just be with each other, like face to face, kind of gave you that extra oomph to like continue seeing each other online and want to like do partnerships with each other. It's this warm, it felt like a family reunion, right? That's it's felt like a bunch of cousins getting together and having a I don't want to say a costume party, but it was like it was so much fun. No, it wasn't, I can't say costume, but it was very nice to be able to like wear clothing from our culture, because as you said, like because we grew up Western, there's not a lot of opportunities to really embrace that side of us that way, and you gave us a platform to do that. And there's so many pictures. I love going through those pictures. Those are like my favorite pictures from the events. Yes, that's the most memorable moment from our journey. Maybe that'll be the lead photo for this podcast, is the photo of us kissing.
Okay, then we didn't do that. I don't want to make it sound like we okay. All right,
you know what? You didn't say we didn't do that, but what was your toast during that? We were joking about it, but like we were totally sloshed when we did that toast. I'm not even gonna post that video online. It's just we're just mentioning it on the podcast.
Were we? Okay.
Anyway, oh my god, you were so drunk. All right,
if you need to come to our next one, you will know it's a really great time. So please come to our next field trip, because we got some plans for this year.
What happens on sorority field trips stays at the sorority field trips. So my lips are sealed as to what Anita said.
No, it's okay. All right. So what have you learned about yourself through this process?
And from a work perspective and being in a partnership together, and a business partnership together, it kind of reinforced that I can't do everything by myself. And I think that's an Asian like mentality that you grow up where you kind of have to be this 100% utility DIY machine. And I was like super burned out. And you also grow up in this culture where you get compared to your cousins all the time. And I've historically been terrible at group projects. So I think what I learned about in working with Anita is that yes, I can be in a partnership, but it's also exposed to me how I sometimes suck at being in a partnership, and there are things that I need to work on about myself that may frustrate my partner. And it's like it's a invitation to personal growth. So that's what I've learned about myself. Anita, would you like to chime in? Yes. What did you learn about yourself, Anita?
Oh, well, I think my favorite parts about this whole process has been getting connected to the other women and even other people that are so actively passionate about seeing more diversity in real estate. And so I didn't think that my cultural identity had so much to do with business, and how much of that does play a part into my investment career, really. And so
how we show up at work, right? That's a big thing that we've hit on a lot too.
Yeah. And perhaps that's why we gravitate sometimes to people that look like us, because they know that we have the same backgrounds, maybe even the same trauma of like, I feel for me is like the perfectionism, the self-comparison, or the like unable to brag. Like those are things that are kind of like Asian in itself that, I've learned, that I've just learned. And unpacking that, I think, through this process has been really great, and learning how other people do it as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and call back to the Yale sweatshirt. See, you were comparing yourself the whole time, and I totally disarmed you by saying, "No, I didn't go to Yale." But it's that weird, like, overachiever insecurity, right? But not to tell people that was where I was going with it. But yeah, I do like my Yale sweatshirt, and I'm upset I don't know where it is right now because it's cold. But yeah, I love that answer. That's what we've learned about ourselves. But all right, but Anita, answer that question more personally. Like, yes, it like, work style wise. I'm going to challenge you here because I do this to our guests. And what
Tiffany
have you learned about yourself?
Yeah.
So what have you thought about your relationship with me? Our work anniversary.
Okay. Got it. Well, I think to me it's like I don't have a natural tendency to to be funny whatsoever. Really, I think I tend to be serious and a bit more of that stand on your soapbox and women empowerment and like that kind of thing. And so I think Tiffany does great is that she is very in tune with what's funny and what picks people up and I think she makes a good podcast host while I kind of put all the information in and made make things more serious. Because if you look at our first episodes, which I wasn't there for actually, I would think I was at the conference. We were talking about dating, and I'm like, I was like, why are we talking about dating on our podcast? And so I think that there's just what I echo is like Tiffany and I do round each other out in the way that she kind of brings the interest, she brings the people, and then I bring maybe the information perhaps.
She hits them with the sales pitch. We're basically like those timeshare people. No, I'm kidding. We're not, guys. Stop. But yeah, no, I do think that there is this nice yin and yang balance that Anita and I strike together. And it's echoed when I hear feedback from other people who have been following our podcast. They're like, oh yeah, you and Anita make a really good balance. And I have to remind everyone when they come to me and they come at me with logistical stuff, I was like, you've got the wrong SARE lady that you're shouting. Like, this is not I'm not the organized one by any means. Anita holds this ship together. I just kind of make sure I don't even know where I'm going with this analogy, but
Tiffany is by
vibe.
far she's probably our icon though. People recognize her when she's out and about. No one recognizes me, I'll say that. So
oh, you want to bring up the Korean spot thing where good thing I wasn't naked, but you were, and someone back to the sorority trip. Yeah. I think Anita ran into another sorority sister when we were at the K-Spa. And if those of you guys unfamiliar with K-Spas, they're very it could be a bit of a culture shock. I was shocked that, everyone got down to their butt ass nakedness. And I was like, yeah, this ain't for me, fam. But I was wandering around with my shirt on when someone recognized me. So that was cool. All right. Anyway, but all right. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's backtrack a little bit. I love that Anita will concede that I pulled her out of her shell a little bit, or she didn't say that, I'm adding that on. Anita, if you listen to our last few episodes, Anita's been cracking a lot of jokes. And I'm like, Anita, that's my job, but she's been really funny. So go Anita. And I've been a little bit more serious. Not. Yeah. So yeah, you always need a straight man in a comedy duo, and Anita's that, and I am the comic relief. Speaking of which, so that being said, what has been your favorite episode on the podcast so far, Anita?
Oh God, I think that's a hard one. But I think what comes to mind, I really loved actually Vivian Chee's episode was really great for me. That was our first Big Sis Little Sis episode, and we kind of brought in a little bit of a newbie and someone more seasoned. And I think for me, that was the first time meeting Vivian, and not only do we have this whole great conversations about short-term rentals, midterm rentals in Austin, but we also kind of got down to talking about Vivian's alopecia and how, and we've had a relationship with her. She also came to our Dallas field trip, but I just learning about her story about alopecia, how she embraced that identity in her. It makes and now she embraces it fully as a way to stand out rather than sort of hiding it in shame. I thought that was incredibly inspiring. So I think that was maybe one of my favorite episodes, even though there's so many of them.
Yeah, that was a great episode. I remember you texted me after we shot that episode, and I was like, we were both nearly in tears. We're like, I think when we recorded, we were like, this was a really, really strong episode, and we should do more of these big little matchups. And that's kind of how we kind of, spiraled into that sorority branding, right? It was through that big little series. I think my favorite is our episode with Hua, because I also want to add, during our first impression meeting, Hua's name had actually come up in that initial G meet that we spoke about earlier. Like Hua, I think did you meet her at that conference that you were talking about, or did that not happen yet? I
I
forget.
can't
I forget
remember,
what
but I
happened.
met her
Yeah.
virtually first. Yeah.
I will say, like, Huawin was a name that had popped up very early on as someone we wanted to approach as someone to be on the podcast, like as like a pipe dream target. And what was crazy was, A, we got her on the podcast, and B, she sponsored our like sorority lunch during breakfast, right, during SARECon, and like she like gave away her books, and then she sponsored the sorority field trip too, and was like a keynote speaker there. She's been, I feel like we manifested Hua. Like, and I think having her on the podcast solidified that. And she was so fun. She's such an amazing speaker. Her story is so touching. Like, I have not laughed harder. And I'll even say, like, even last month, she came to New York City and I had dinner with her. Like, within 1 year, like, it was almost like from Anita's lips to like God's ears when we like said Hua Win, and she's like the SARE lady, like fairy godmother, I would say, of helping us get as far as we have, and bringing together all these other amazing women. She's been very magnetic in that. So definitely would say my favorite episode was when we spoke with Hua. And one of my old profile pictures was like me being shocked at something crazy she said about being an eye doctor student.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's where
Right.
that was from.
Hey, we're going to take a little break, but in the meantime, here's a shameless plug for one of our amazing sponsors. Dr. Hua Win and her husband, Dr. Jaime Gonzalez, both optometrists by trade and owners of multiple multi-million-dollar optometry practices in the Dallas area, founded Black Steel Investment Group with a passion to invest to impact. With the foundation forged on 3 pillars, integrity, community, and legacy, they put their investors at the forefront of everything they do. The couple are both seasoned, full-time multifamily investors, syndicators, and asset managers who, together with their investors, have invested in over 6,900 units as general and or limited partners in Texas, Arizona, Florida, and the Carolinas, with total assets valued at over $480 million. Juan and Jaime are always working to find new investment opportunities for their investors. The couple enjoys traveling the world for delicious food and interesting cultures with their 8-year-old daughter Athena, and have a puppy named Coco Ollie. Now on to the show.
All right.
Okay, so how has hosting the SARE Ladies influenced your personal and professional lives, and what have you learned from that experience?
I would say that it has created a weird kind of like subculture celebrity. Not so, yeah, would it be a subculture? Oh shit. Sorry. I thought I turned it off, but it went on. I think it gave me a better way to engage with my work, right? And they always say that real estate isn't really about properties, it's about people and relationships. And for a long time, I've been in the real estate brokerage business in New York City for 10 years. And I think, it was very hard for me to engage with it in a transactional manner. And so I almost felt like in forming SARE Ladies, we were creating, they say you need like a sphere of influence, right? And it finally felt like a genuine, authentic connection that wasn't just surface level. It felt deeper for me, and in a way that moved me a lot, like to a point where, I might have cried about it a few times of how moved I was, that I was like, oh my God, I'm part of something bigger than myself. So in that way, it influenced my personal life. And I'm like, and you grow up with this, like, oh, you shouldn't intermix your personal and professional life together. But I think that's kind of bullshit. I think that, as I'm getting older, I'm like, there's no way you can't intersperse the two to give meaning to the other. Like, your professional life can only be enriched if you can, like, bring in something from your personal life, and vice versa too, right? Like, and I think this was something we were both struggling with, was finding meaning in our work. And it was hard to find meaning in your work if you silo both of them so separately. Right. So that's me. What about you, Anita?
Yeah, I think to me, this year I've been more on the theme of wanting to bring more of my authenticity to my work. And I think that SARE Ladies has helped with bringing more meaning to my community and giving a lens and a platform really for us to talk about things that we've never even heard anyone else say, and to address like who we are, like specific problems that we have as AAPI women, and finding our identity in our real estate careers. And so I think that's been really great for me, and I think when we bring more authenticity to our work, I think the better the world becomes. So yeah.
I'll even add to that, like the authenticity thing, because you guys know I do comedy too. I think the SARE Lady, everything that Anita and I have talked about on a week-to-week basis about Asian American identity it's bled its way through into my stand-up material. And I feel like now I can kind of tell jokes that are unique to my experience, that like there's this thing in comedy where it's like you don't want to write jokes that other people can easily steal, right? And I think this has given me a more in-depth like take on myself, that I can kind of like introspect and create something funny out of all the shared trauma and pain that we've all experienced, that, you know, no one has really talked about it except for maybe Ali Wong in stand-up comedy, where you don't see as much Asian American females, especially, representation there talking about these issues. And I think it has been really cool for me to be able to do that. So Anita, where are we going?
As where are we going? As
where are we
a
going?
group. Yeah, I have been really excited with what we have done so far with the number of podcasts we've come out with, our weekly newsletters, our monthly newsletters. We have our accountability groups now. We have a partnership with Fractional. We have field trips. And so this year we're planning to do more. And of course, we can't do it alone. So if you're out there and you're interested and even just helping and contributing, we would really love your help. And we want to have more amazing women and men who to be on this podcast. And we will be at SARECon again this year. We're going to be doing field trips and more events this year, but we really need to hear about what you need, about what would be effective for you to help you take off with your career, to make you feel more authentic in your real estate investment career, to either get started or to help blossom. So if you are interested, please reach out. We're always available. So yeah.
And even if you just want a friend to lend an ear, because some people have DM'd me. I'm not going to name any names, but some of who. No, I'm just saying, like, sorority sisters, if you guys like, you know, the DMs are hot and open. You feel free to DM me on Facebook or Anita, but probably me. If you need to let it. Anita's very busy, but Tiffany will always make time to talk about boyfriends and stuff. Anita's like, do you need help with real estate stuff? But Tiffany will lend an ear and tell you how things are going. But no, on a serious note, like, yeah, you know, part of this, if in order for a successful business partnership, I think, to flourish, they say don't make friends with, you know, don't go into business with your friends. But I think the reverse is fine. Like, go into business with people, but these business people can become stronger friends because they have like shared value systems. And I think that's how Anita and I formed. I think Anita has become one of my best friends, but we weren't best friends first. It was, hey, let's be business partners together. And in that business partnership, we found a deep friendship. Like, it's almost like we put ourselves in an arranged marriage and found love somewhere down the line.
Yes, she keeps insisting to call herself my work wife, and I'm like, okay, I guess so.
Shut up.
Yes.
All right. What?
Anyway.
Yeah. She pretends like she doesn't love it, but she does. All right. So do you want me to wrap this up, Anita?
Yes. All right. I can wrap it up, actually.
All right, you go ahead, Anita. You wrap it up.
I do want to say a special thanks to Annie and Nelson and all of our sponsors who have made this whole year happen, to Mai Bahala and Dre Sabal for being so integral to our podcast, and all our guests that have been in helping us launch this and making this a really successful year. If you want to be on our podcast, please ping us. We would love to talk. And what you can do for us is that we're going to have a survey for you here below, and to know what we can do as our community. Also, you can please subscribe to our SARE Ladies list to get all our podcasts and news right into your inbox. Thank you to the community for all that you do, and we hope that this next year we're going to do more for you. Love you, Pod Squad, and see you back very soon.
See ya. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Here's one last note from our lovely sponsors.
Hey, SARE Ladies listeners, Tony the CPA Dude here, also your resident SARE Tax Bro. And with your lovely host, they came up with some great ideas. So Miss Tiffany and Miss Anita here came up with the tax workout plan. So we're gonna help you get cut up on your taxes, also gonna help you cut up on your own body. So just like working out, taxes is a monthly thing. You can't ignore it, otherwise you're gonna fall off the cliff. So with the code SARE Ladies, we're gonna give you a nice healthy discount, and we're also gonna give the SARE Ladies a kickback just to help support their podcast. I've had a fun time being on their podcast a couple times this year. They've done great. I really wanna see them blow up in 2023. So with your support with this creative tax workout plan, and also a workout plan in general, we're gonna help you transform your life in 2023. So mention the code SARE Ladies when you talk to me. You can email me at Tony@the CPA Dude. Text me at 928 CPA Dude. TikTok's the CPA Dude. Website's thecpadude.com. Everything's the CPA Dude. So SARE Ladies is your special code here, and let's make this year great.
Thank you for tuning in to the SARE Ladies podcast, hosted by Anita Wong and Tiffany Lee. Special thanks to Subtle Asian Real Estate LLC, our parent company.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review or follow SARE Ladies on Spotify and Instagram at Subtle Real Estate. You can also click on our show notes to subscribe to our newsletters to stay on top of our news and upcoming events. Until next time, Pod Squatters.